My first published comic work was a book called Midnight Kiss from Marcosia Comics. You can still get it, I believe. It's a British publisher. I wasn't very good, but you can see the seeds of what I became, which is the greatest comic book artist of all time. It, you know, we did an episode of our Stegman and His Amazing Friends, our podcast on Apple Podcasts with Chip Zdarsky, where he was going to come on and make fun of me. He was going to review that book to my face. And he pretty much was just like, this is actually really good for somebody that, you know, at the time I was 23 or 22. And in retrospect, I'm now far enough away from it where I'm like, I'm so proud of that little kid for trying so hard. You know, now I'm 40. Like, he worked his butt off on that. Good job. But I mean, there's some rough spots, but there's some good stuff. So
my first work credited was actually as an artist for Marvel. There's a book called Ant-Man and the Wasp, written and drawn by Tim Seeley, who's been a great friend to me for probably like over a decade now. Is just a sweetheart of a dude. So the gag for the recaps, and I was an intern at this time. It was like 2010, 2011. And part of my job as an intern was to write the recaps for the front of every issue. And the gag for this issue was that Eric O'Grady, the irredeemable Ant-Man, was doodling in Hank Pym's notebook, and his like little stick figure drawings would tell like the story of like the last issue, right? And Jordan White, who's now the editor of the X-Men line, I was his intern. He asked me if I would draw the stick figures and do all that, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try. And so I did it, and I just like I did my goddamnedest, and he really liked them, and so he published them in I think 4 issues. I think there's 4 issues of them. I think that's true. Maybe 3. And then in the trade, actually, trades never include recaps ever. But there's a chapter break where they took like one drawing of mine and made it the chapter break. So if you buy the trade for it, it's also in there. And so that was my first credit at Marvel. It would take me, let me think, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It would take me 6 years to get back to Marvel after that to get a credit again. After that, I had 2 short stories published in Dark Horse Presents. There were this character named Hunter Quaid. And then Buzzkill was my first solo writing. Well, it wasn't solo. It was story by. The Hunter Quaid stories I am not proud of at all. Me and my co-writer on it were trying, I think, way too hard because we were both super like psyched out, like really like scared, and we didn't know how to do an 8-page short story. It's so much harder than it sounds to tell a full story in 8 pages, and we just had no idea what we were doing. But then, yeah, Buzzkill, I actually am very proud of. I think back to that book, and I'm like, that was better than that had any right to ever be. So I'm proud of that one. But yeah, there's actually a previous credit before the Marvel one, but you'll have to search high and low for that one because I'm not going to tell you.